Tonight, the Environmental Protection Agency is working to make its draft herbicide strategy easier to implement. This is a follow-up to the coverage we first brought you back in October.
KCBD News Channel 11's Parker Schaffner breaks down the changes and tells us how it could benefit area producers.
After receiving thousands of complaints from farmers, ranchers, and organizations, the EPA has revised its draft herbicide strategy. The strategy, released last summer, was created because the agency says it is not complying with the Endangered Species Act.
The main concern with what was being proposed were, maybe the level of additional, mitigations or, things that a producer might have to be required to do in order to, comply with, the labels once they were revised.
In addition to being too limiting, Sean Wade with Plains Cotton Growers believes it was confusing. Under the original strategy, an applicator would have to meet a certain number of mitigation points, up to 9, before spraying certain products. For example, if you're applying an herbicide that requires 6 points, there would be a menu of different mitigation measures to prevent runoff or aerial drift. Each of those measures would have a point value tied to it. EPA decided to simplify this approach by using 4 tiers to describe the amount of mitigation needed: none, low, medium, and high.
It certainly looks like pretty much everything above the caprock and going west to the New Mexico state line, our area of concern is going to be in that low risk category.
The EPA is also reducing the amount of mitigation needed in areas where runoff potential is lower due to geography, such as the South Plains, which has flat lands and little rainfall.
We don't have as much risk of putting out a herbicide application or pesticide application and then having a really heavy rain come right after the fact and potentially wash that product off of the field and let it get into maybe a waterway or something that another part of the country might have to deal with.
Lastly, the EPA is working to develop a process for refining maps for hundreds of species. Right now, the agency believes the maps they have are often too broad. This could shrink the land area subject to herbicide restrictions.
We don't really have any endangered species to deal with. It's always the potential that some species could get listed, and so it's important that we set the stage now to make sure that as EPA puts together these maps, that only the minimum necessary area would be impacted.
The EPA is expected to publish its final herbicide strategy by the end of August. Parker Schaffner, KCBD News Channel 11.